Hey, everyone, and welcome to another 3PL Live Sessions with my co host, Michael Sternberg, and myself, Cameron Robertson, here at 3PL Systems. Mike, what were we doing this week?
So we spent the first 3 days of the week down in San Diego at the Extensive Edge User Conference. It was our first time there, sponsoring the event. For those of you who don't know, Extensive is a warehousing and distribution software provider. So they're focused on like order management and parcel distribution and stuff like that. And then we integrate with them to help people out with any sort of freight transportation, being that we're a freight brokerage focused TMS. So it was a good time, man. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was a really good show, good event. It's the first type of show we as a company have sponsored that's outside of our norm. We typically sponsor TIA and have a booth there and other events similar to TIA, but we've never sponsored a WMS event before, and it was really interesting. We met a lot of great contacts there, and we're looking forward to next year's event. And hopefully, we can spread more knowledge to that side of the industry about different revenue streams for themselves. So it was a great event. Definitely well put on.
Yeah, it's nice for us too because it was just in San Diego, so we could drive. Didn't have to fly out, and you fly across the country, you kill 2 whole days just traveling, right? And so I know you got right back on the computer once we got back home midday on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
So today, everyone, we have a special guest. Her name is Erin Verranault of RevCon Logistics. We're going to be hearing her story within logistics. Erin, welcome.
Hey guys.
Erin, tell us a little bit about your history in logistics.
Okay. Well, it's long, unfortunately. No, I did start very young. I started in high school, actually. No, college. End of college. 99. My family had a business, and it was only a few years old when I started there. So we were like literally 3 people there. Started doing as a second job, kind of whatever was needed to be done. Got into customer service, got into pricing, did some freight audit pay stuff. Eventually oversaw all of operations, and finally became the president. I think it was 2011. And then we sold the company in 2014. So it was, an interesting experience going from that private world to then jumping into more of a publicly traded organization. So we were purchased by Roadrunner. And so they had purchased, I think at that time it was like 34 different companies. And 6 to 10 of them were 3PLs of different magnitudes, right? We all did something very uniquely different, had totally different cultures, different customer bases, different carrier bases. And then I spent pretty much the next 8 years still overseeing CTL, and then eventually kind of creating Ascent Global Logistics with some other executive staff, like bringing the 6 companies that were 3PL companies together, merging cultures, merging sales teams, merging.
It's a lot.
Trying to merge IT, right? So you guys will appreciate that. All the different systems.
Trying. That's
trying.
a big task. That's a big task.
Yeah. I mean, merging customers, putting them on different systems, training, and there were thousands, right? So I stayed on there for a while, and then eventually that just wasn't my jam anymore, right? Private equity and me, maybe we didn't mix, but after that, I decided to start my own business, and that was RevCon Logistics. So that to me is kind of getting back to my roots and going more into a small niche managed transportation type of a business with some brokerage as well, and just getting back to doing this and having fun, right? Having fun doing it, talking to customers, understanding their needs, and giving them solutions that work for them without a heck of a lot more on top of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So, man. So how many? Gosh, there's just so much to unpack there. So
yeah,
let's back up a little bit. Let's start with when you started with the family company.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little bit the difference between working for a family company and a public traded company. So can you unpack for us a little bit around what you liked about having the family business, what you didn't like about having the family business?
Mhm.
What were some of the upsides
Yeah.
and the downsides of that kind of culture, for lack of a better word, of a
Yeah.
privately owned family company? What did you get from that?
So there's pluses and minuses to working with family. I don't know if you guys have ever done it, but I've done it my whole life. And, trusting your family members, and relying on them and having them around you is awesome, right? But there is the hard part of being in a family companies is you have more employees and you've got to be really careful about that relationship too, right? And understanding where the boundaries are and really having a work professional relationship. But the thing I like most about private side of it and being small, I think when we sold, we had about 55 employees. So we were a decent size, but it was really for me being like direct with the front line, like all the
Mm,
employees. We had really open communication, really understood, what they needed, what they wanted, what our company needed, how we could respond better to our customers. It was just much more nimble, I guess I would say, in how we could respond. And then you've got that closer relationship. I wouldn't say like, employees are family, right? But you treat each other with a different level of respect because you know each other very well when you're that small of organization. So,
So, when you're talking about being sold into a public company, what was one of the most difficult parts about being at a public company? So, typically at a smaller company, you have a lot more control, you're able to be agile, but what was the difficult part about being part of a public company?
well, the exact opposite of that, right? Like now having
No control.
10,000 different bosses. Yeah, no control. You guys know me, right? I'm a little bit of a control freak, but losing that control, maybe not necessarily understanding like the full direction of where you're going, right?
mm.
Because there's so many layers to an organization. So that makes it difficult to have more honest and upfront conversations, not only with employees, but with customers, in my opinion, because I can't say something if I don't know something, right? Like I've got to understand what the direction is to be able to really talk intelligently about it. Um, but yeah, I think more in the public world, it was more a lot about reporting, right? It was a lot about numbers. It was a lot about what did we do today? Instead of how can we really meet these customers' needs? At least that's my personal opinion and experience. So it just became more about overseeing and less about doing the work.
Got it. So
So
you're flooded with more meetings and whatnot
Meetings,
rather than,
reporting,
yeah,
PowerPoints, all of that
boomerang
fun
numbers.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys can relate sometimes.
so
But what it
just
did
curious.
do What it did do though, Mike, is it did allow me to understand kind of navigating that corporate culture in some of my
Mm.
customers' worlds. So, and really understanding why sometimes things just can't get done the way you want them to in a business relationship.
Yeah. So go a little deeper on that for us. I'm curious. I know it wasn't all bad, and I know you're not saying
No,
that. I know it
no.
wasn't. So you said it helped you understand, the kind of corporate workings of some of your customers that may have been larger organizations. What else did you gain from that experience that was valuable, that maybe you bring into your leadership style and the way that you run RevCon today?
Yeah, for sure. So, going from private to public, right? It's like going from like cash basis to accrual basis, like the accounting side of things,
Mm,
really looking at your book of business differently and looking at some different KPIs, and I guess that's probably a buzzword, but KPIs, some different metrics about how, the business is performing, a different way to look at the business than perhaps I did before, because before it was just like you had your thumb on the business, right? You know exactly what's happening because you're there living it every day. But when it gets so big that you can't, you're not even in front of the customer anymore, but you're looking at the business from the number side of it. So it definitely is helpful and helped me understand more how to run RevCon. It also gave me a better understanding, like when we had these different companies that we were merging and bringing together, we had, an LTL brokerage, multiple truckload brokerages, CTL, which was a managed transportation business, primarily focused in LTL, and a couple of other different variations of businesses. It gave me the ability to understand how different logistics companies and 3PLs are run, like what makes them tick, what value they sell to their customers. So, and then trying to merge them together, right? And understand like what ultimately do we want to look like. It gave me a better idea of what I do and don't want in RevCon logistics, right? Like, so I know this will work. So for instance, at RevCon, we provide managed transportation, but we do it in a really blended model. So from a pricing perspective, we're not just strictly customer specific pricing like a traditional managed transportation play would be. We blend in the LTL brokerage, and we do that obviously with your technology, but it's very transparent to the customers and they get the best of both worlds, right? They're really maximizing and optimizing across different carriers, different models, spot and contracted rates. So I think that was one thing that I learned from that environment, is that customers sometimes need both. It's not just one size fits all, right? And you've got to have that flexibility to be able to offer them exactly what they need.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We find that working with, we work with hundreds of freight brokers on our technology. And what we found, which is really interesting, me being a technologist, is that every freight broker is different, even though at the end of the day, you're moving freight. Everyone operates a little bit differently. But speaking about your business specifically, what makes RevCon unique? What drives you day in, day out for your customers that makes you unique and separates you from the others?
So, besides what we've already talked about, I'd say a couple of different things, really. I mean, I like the small nature, right? Because my customers have a direct line to me, right? So they can talk to anybody in the organization without going through a rigmarole to get there. Um, but really, from a managed transportation space, I think the freight audit and pay side of the equation is
Mm,
really unique in our space. Um, and that's a real true outsourced freight audit and pay. So not only do they run their LTL and their truckload through our system, whether we oversee it or they oversee it and just use our tools, every single one of their invoices, regardless of mode or whether or not we priced it. So international, truckload, courier, LTL, parcel, those invoices come to us. We
wow.
audit them against the contracts. Yeah. So it's a lot, but what it does at the end of the day is it takes that off of their plates, right? They lose that workload. We're looking at it from a really trained perspective, right? Folks that have been doing this for a very long time and understand how to read contracts, how to read freight invoices, um, and then we're working through all the disputes on their behalf. So we're disputing it with the carriers. If there's errors, we're capturing all the data, and we're putting that together into a consolidated weekly freight payment report. So they're just paying us once, and then we pay all the carriers. But it's a lot of work. But at the end of the day, what it really does for us at RevCon, it allows us to become a true consultant and a true
Mm.
partnership with them. Because now we have data. We have their real data, which they probably didn't have a good grasp or handle on before, right? So now they can see their spend across all their divisions, across all of their modes. We can drill down. We can give them real meaningful reporting, real time, and we can help them with future business decisions. So we have customers today. Right now, I'm doing a full warehouse distribution analysis for one organization. We have another organization that's closing down a warehouse, and they want to understand what their costs are going to be to the bottom line when they decide to move to this location or that location. There's just a lot of different things you can do when you have that real data, real time. So that I think is a really big differentiator from us in this space, right?
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So curious, and this is just my sales brain. So, obviously in the brokerage space, you're making money on margin, right? Or in the managed trans space, you typically have like a flat monthly fee, and you maybe like you're providing a technology and a service. But with the freight pay and audit stuff, Are you guys like sharing in the savings? Like how do you make your money? How do you sell that to your clients?
It's a good question because there are different freight audit pay companies out there that's solely what they do. We don't, we only do it for customers that are in our managed transportation program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Makes
so
sense.
we only will, it'll be either flat fee that encompasses everything we do,
Got
or
it.
if they prefer more transactional, we can do a per bill on top of, the other service fees. So again, being a small company, we can be really flexible in how, we're invoicing our customers too, right? It doesn't have to be that one size fits all. So however they want to see it, because they might be business in flux that's growing. And so maybe transactional isn't the right play for them. They'd rather have a flat fee, um, however it needs to be. But yeah, only managed transportation companies we do the audit and freight pay for.
Do you have any intention ever of spinning it off as a standalone service, or is that just not a direction you guys plan on going?
Well, Mike, there's not a lot of money.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm
Unless
genuinely
You have
just
to
want to
unless
know. I'm curious.
subsidize that side of the
Yeah, yeah.
business. Yeah,
Yeah,
Got it.
I've
unless
heard
you
Got
that
it.
share in the
before.
savings, I mean, there are
Right,
some
yeah.
outfits out there that do share in the savings. A lot of parcel audit type companies will do that, but
Got
our
it.
intention isn't to make money off of it. It's just to really make the relationship work so that they, once our customers from a managed transportation perspective are handling everything through us, right? So they got the TMS, they have the technology. We might be handling LTL and truckload. They might have us doing some of the work. We're doing all the audit and freight pay, and then we're giving them, right, spoon feeding them their data and information and KPIs and talking to them about how they might tweak their business differently quarter to quarter to maximize those savings. Um, they become long-term customers, right? So for us, it's less churn, those long-term partnerships, and there really is that value of having that business model be part of the managed transportation program.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely a powerful addition. Not everyone does that, and that's definitely a differentiator for you guys. So going back to the public
Mhm.
traded company that you were a part of, and now who you are today, um, how do you look at things long term versus short term within both those? What does it look like typically at a publicly traded business versus what you're doing today with RevCon?
So in my personal experience, right, with
Yeah.
the publicly traded company, and we went from publicly traded to private again, but it still was very large organization, right? Um, It was more about the short term. It was more about the dollar, like how are we making money? What are we making money on? Um, how can we make more money? And really looking at the customers differently, right? Not as people, but more as, kind of just on a spreadsheet. Um, and I think from a long-term perspective at RevCon, what we're doing is, like I said before, getting back to our roots, really building real relationships, right, with our customers. I got to tell you, a lot of the customers we have today are people I did business with way back in the day because they called us because they said, we love what you did. We love the relationship that we had. Um, and we want to feel like somebody has our back, right? That you're really listening to what we do every single day. And you're not just doing the same thing for us every day. So I think that from a long-term perspective, for us, yes, we're in business to make money, but it isn't for me about the dollar bill, y'all. It's about, are we servicing our customers' needs? Are we servicing our carrier partner needs? Are our employees satisfied? Like, I want people to be here that want to be here and want to stay here for a long time and have a place to grow and live and support their families. So, that's a different way for me to look at it. And I think going from that private, small family business to the large publicly traded company to coming back, like that's one of the things I lost was my ability to really have a difference on the relationship and people, and how we look at things moving
Yeah.
forward.
Diving into that just for a second, it's the relationships you can build with your employees as a smaller business are quite incredible. Even here at 3PL, Mike and I talk about this. Our average tenure is over 6 years, which is
That's
a
awesome.
long time for a tech organization. Typically in a tech org, it's 2 years or less, and people jump ship or go somewhere else. But you're just able to build those really deep relationships, especially when you you care and you show that you
Yeah,
care and you want to be a part of their lives and you want to know about their lives and help support their career paths and all that. And I feel like that's harder to find at large companies or publicly traded companies. It's not that it's right or wrong. It's just it's a different way of operating. So
100%. And when
yeah,
you have people that have been with you for so long, they understand your business, right?
yeah,
Mm.
And they understand how to service the customer, and they understand, you built that culture, and they're part of that culture, and that allows you to keep growing. Without that, when you churn and burn employees, it makes it very difficult in the customer's perspective. They want to see the same people all the time. They want to call the same people all the time, and just keeping that vision going. Having those employees you know, it's important. So that's why we're here doing what we do now.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to give you a shout, Erin, as well, because from our perspective, you've been doing business with us as a TMS provider for a while. I can say that you also treat your vendors, call us a vendor. You also treat your vendors in the same way, and it's appreciated. And I know you know what I mean, because you have customers that treat you in that way, and I'm sure you have some customers that don't. And the ones that treat you in the way that you lead your business, they stand out, right? So I just want to give that shout that. The way
Thank
you
you.
lead your business extends beyond the walls of your business and into the way you interact with everybody. So I want to switch gears. It's maybe like an abrupt tangent, but I'm just curious because everyone's talking about what's the state of the freight market and when is it going to rebound, and like everything's terrible, and all this kind of talk. But you also have a unique view on that, I think, through the invoice audit side, because you're seeing a lot of these freight bills, you're seeing what companies are doing, and you really have kind of your finger on the pulse of that. What are your thoughts on where things are at, where things are maybe going? Do you have any predictions, maybe just
Oh
based on a
boy.
guess? I'm just curious where your head's at around where's the
I
market
wish
from a freight perspective, and where's it going?
I wish I had that crystal ball. Yeah.
Me
it's a
too.
big question, Mike.
Absolutely. Aaron can answer it though. Aaron can definitely answer it.
I'm
Well, I
positive.
mean, from my perspective, I mean, I see it, see my customers, right? And, we're a fairly new organization still, right?
Yeah.
We're 2 years deep. So for us, everywhere is up, right? So it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
it's been growing. Our customer base has been growing. Our year over year, I do think that there's been an increase with a good majority of our customers. And I'm speaking solely about, let me speak about LTL right now. So from an LTL perspective, and this wouldn't be from increases or anything like that, but just pure bill count, shipment count, volume with our customers. We're seeing a trend upwards. It's not a huge trend, but it is definitely growing. So, no science behind that except just what we're seeing day to day. We're talking long term with a lot of our customers, and there is a lot going on domestically. They're focused on growing and bringing different things back to the U.S. In some cases, and it's interesting, but it's positive in my perspective. It's positive. Hey, it's an election
Good.
year, so anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for us,
Absolutely.
we're kind of seeing the same thing on our side, Mike. We're seeing
Yeah.
load counts increase for a lot of the freight brokers across the board, and so it does seem like the market is picking up overall. There was a down period. We saw it
For
just
sure.
because of what we do, so we get to see a lot of data. Um, but yeah, so talking about our industry as a whole and specifically technology, Aaron, what are you excited about that's coming in the future or things that are currently playing out? What do you see as something maybe on the horizon that you're looking at personally within our industry?
Okay, good question. For me, right now, we're dabbling a lot in, I mean, we're fully automating as much as we can with our customer base, which that's nothing new, right? That's been going on for a long time, but more and more discussions around the ERP integrations and tying our customers together between our systems. So for us, it's a little different because we have the TMS, and we have the audit and pay side of the equation and their ERP. So tying all three together and
Mm.
gaining visibility, but we're really using a lot more Power BI tools, and working to getting that to be embedded in the TMS so that our customers are gaining visibility and traction across everything in one dashboard, like one place where everything lives, across all of those systems. So that's kind of where our focus is. And quite honestly, it's so easy to do nowadays.
It
It's like
is.
crazy, weird, easy. Like, you go and you Google something, how do I do this? And oh well, there you go. And but the but the technology, right? Like the tools you guys have, and the tools we have in our audit and free pay side of the equation. I mean, the technology just makes it easy to be able to connect all the dots to gain that visibility, right? So I think just taking it a step further for our customer base is what we're focused on in the short term, meaning the next 12 to 18 months. Um, and beyond that, we'll see. So
Any new tools that you've seen in the market that you're maybe excited about exploring or anything like that?
you know, it was interesting because we've gone to the same conferences, you guys do, right? TIA, and seeing kind of what is out there in the future and what people are thinking about. And I'm interested in a lot of the AI stuff, especially how it could help um, create some efficiencies within the operations. Not necessarily like I'm not going to be quoting with AI and things like that. I think that's a little
Sure.
far-fetched for us at this point. But I'm interested to see how that really ties into this industry and how, people use it to be efficient in the unique ways in which they will. I mean, like we were talking earlier, you got a fun new jingle for 3PL out of AI. So I don't want to
Yes.
release the news, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Well,
did create a song for 3PL systems utilizing AI, which was quite interesting. It's the thing about AI that's interesting to me is that for years people were using the term AI in their businesses, but it wasn't actually being applied. It wasn't real AI. It was more RPA or things similar to that. But finally, AI is getting to a point where it's becoming affordable for people to deploy the technologies because of companies like Microsoft, because of companies like GPT, which Microsoft backs, and all these other AI tools. They're being made in a way that the public can use them. Because AI in general to build it is very, very expensive. You look at GPT; they spent billions of dollars building that algorithm, and it's going to be a really interesting thing, definitely, to see how companies deploy it. On that same subject, Reed, who's a CMO, he's a new CMO at Truck Parking Club. He
Hmm,
runs a Discord channel on Tuesday nights where he has this thing called Tech Bro Tuesdays. And what's really
okay.
cool about that environment is I get to see a lot of these upcoming technologies that are coming into our marketplace that are new. And
Yeah.
they're using all different types of technologies and they're trying to solve different things with AI or just new tools. So there's a lot of
I have to
exciting
check
things
that
on the
out.
horizon. Yeah, it's a really cool
Yeah.
platform that he's built. So I definitely recommend it.
Cool. Yeah, it's exciting times, that's for sure.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it looks like we're pretty close to our time. Erin, thank you so much for coming on. This is probably
Pleasure.
long overdue. You've been like you said, you've been a good client of ours for a couple of years now, and you've definitely got a wealth of knowledge to share. So thanks for hopping on, sharing your story, sharing what you've learned, sharing what you liked and didn't like, and kind of what you guys are doing that's special at RevCon. Where can people find you if they want to reach out and maybe pick your brain or do business with you?
LinkedIn, obviously, is a great platform that we're on right now. Please shoot me a message, send me a private message, or you can get me Erin at revconlogistics.com. That's my email. So just give me a shout.
Awesome. I'll put that in
Awesome.
the comments as well for you. Let's see.
Cool.
Erin, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Erin.
Erin is a wonderful person.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For
What an
sure.
incredible business. So, Mike, do you want to lead us out?
Yeah. Well, before we do that, you got anything going on this weekend, man? What are you doing?
Hanging out with the kids. The kids were lucky; they came with us.
Yeah, it was great.
Got to
I
hang
haven't
out with
seen
them as
them,
well
dude.
down at Extensive. We didn't get to hang out with them much because we were working, but when
Yeah.
we were able to, turns out my daughter likes you more than me. That's messed up.
It's because there's a novelty factor, dude. She only sees me once a year or something like that, so it's exciting. She sees you every day. My kids are the same with me, you know.
Nah, I'm just
You
joking.
know
But
how to go. No, for sure.
this weekend, I hang out with some friends, and that's about it. What about you?
Let's see. Family barbecue, extended family barbecue at my parents tomorrow, like cousins,
Thanks, man.
uncles, and stuff coming down. And then Sunday, we're going to an Angels game for my son's little league, and they get to walk the little kids on the
Nice.
field. And so,
He's gonna
you
love
know,
that.
it'll be exciting for them. So, but other than that, man, just trying to, get in the time with the family like we do when we're dads, right? So,
Yeah.
who's coming on? Who's coming on next week? Mario, right?
Mario, who's the founder of Fast Exact. They're an expedite service. That'll be an interesting conversation to have him on, how he created that business, and what are some of the things that he's facing in our industry, and how are they going up against this market and growing their organization. So
Yeah,
it'll be a good
cool.
conversation.
Cool. Well, I think that's it, man. I think we can let everybody go. Thanks everyone for joining in. Have a great rest of your Friday and a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Talk to you.